Look, when you realize how fake it all is, the football, the basketball, the Lady Gaga, the Justin Bieber, who gives you these carbon tax messages. They tell your kids they got to love Justin Bieber, and then Bieber says, hand in your guns, pass the Cybersecurity Act, and... the police state's good, and then your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal, and when they got back, there was only like 11 people alive of the 200 and something crew, and the entire ship was rotting down to the waterline. That's destiny. That's will. That's striving. That's being a trailblazer and explorer. Going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty. It's incredible detail. Tuning into it. They want to shatter your mind talking about Justin Bieber. It's pure evil. They're taking your intellect, your soul, and giving you Michael Jordan and Bieber. Unlock your human potential. Defeat the globalists who want to shatter your mind, your doorways to perception. I want to see you truly live. I want to see you truly be who you are. I don't want my progeny who's coming, my unborn grandchildren and great-grandchildren, to live in this nightmare system these control freaks have created, where these wicked globalists are so threatened by human potential, they poison the water, the vaccines, the food, to turn us into a bunch of slugs, a bunch of lobotomized sloths so they can control us. It is a crime. It is the most jealous, envious, greedy, hateful, sickening thing the New World Order does, and that's why I am so pleased to be committed in the fight against them. That's why I don't care about my own life, except I want to continue to live to fight them. That's why I don't have fear. I only have fear of myself and my flesh and not being up to the challenge. And I ask you to look in the mirror and ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds?
Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president.
We will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
Anybody in this country doesn't minimize their tax. They want their heads ripped.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
The answer is Mike, because I want to do you slowly. I was saved by God to make America great again.
We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Commanding the Narrative. My name is Stephen Tripp. Thank you to everyone that is watching this, and if you are watching this live, you can contribute to today's conversation in the chat. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts and your questions. And if you have the courage and you want to call in, the link to StreamYard is in the chat. We want to hear from you live if you want to call in. So click that link and follow the prompts, and let's hear from you. So let's kick things off the way that we always do, and that's by letting you know how you can follow us and support us. It's by heading to commandingthenarrative.com. If you want to keep up to date with all our latest podcasts, any articles that I might write, and upcoming events, it's all on commandingthenarrative.com. If you want to see who's on the podcast this week, you'll see that information there as well. Don't rely on social media. If you can follow us there if you like, but head straight to the website. That's the first port of call to follow us. And while you're there, hit the donate button at the top corner there, and also the sign up button. If you donate to us, it helps to pay for the stream, it helps to pay for the website, and most importantly, gives me a very warm and fuzzy feeling inside. Now, on to Australians for Better Government. We've got some really exciting news about Australians for Better Government. We're going to be hosting our first event on the Gold Coast It's coming up in August 3rd. It's a Sunday at 1 p.m. at CSI Club Southport. We've got some really great speakers. Senator Malcolm Roberts, Senator Jared Rennick, Dr. Christopher Reynolds, who we've had on the podcast a few times now, and he's always blown us away with the information that he's got. Of course, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Lockray and myself, we're going to be holding a raffle as well with a great prize, a one-night stay at Strathern Park Lodge in Upper Hunter in Scone. That's worth $325. We'll be announcing some more prizes as the weeks go along, and maybe another speaker or two. So check out that event. Head to australiansforbetter.com and get your tickets if you're on the Gold Coast or close to the Gold Coast. If you're in Ballina or if you're in Brisbane or around the Gold Coast, please come along to this important event, and we will have a very important discussion on Australia's political future. And while you're at Australians for Better Government, also check out this. This is our new prospectus. It basically outlines everything about Australians for Better Government. So check that out. Head to australiansforbetter.com. A lot of exciting things are happening with Australians for Better Government. So please keep up to date with everything that we're doing, and sign up to be a member as well. It's very, very important. Speaking about signing up to be a member, also check out Let's Rethink Renewables. If you're passionate about the energy rollout and the rollout of reckless renewables across Australia, please head to Let's Rethink Renewables. As we say, renewables have consequences. They're not the warm and fuzzy wonderful things that the renewables lobby portray them to be. So please check out letsrethinkrenewables.org and also sign up to be a member. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see this. It's $10 for membership. It helps to support the movement and everything that comes along, printing materials and everything like that. So please support Let's Rethink Renewables. And lastly, I'll let you know about the Light Australia newspaper. A new edition of the Light is out at the moment. And you can head to thelightaustralia.com and get that copy. It's packed with all sorts of information, great information, the uncensored truth, the unfiltered truth. And as you can see on page 4, there's even an article from me. So I'm moving up in the world. I think I started down the bottom of the Light at the back page. Now I'm moving up to page 4. So I guess you can move up in the big bad world out there. So let's kick it off. We've got a councillor on today, Councillor Peter Ristevski. He's part of the Liverpool City Council. He was actually a councillor between the years of 2012 and 2016 as a Liberal, and then last year he was re-elected as an independent, which is a big achievement, I must say. It's not easy running as an independent, and he managed to do it, and he managed to get elected. So let's bring him on right now. Peter Ristevski, welcome to Commanding the Narrative.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and I love the Australian flag at the background there. We should see more of it.
We should see more of it, definitely. Now, I mentioned that you're a councillor with Liverpool City Council, but you did have an extensive career in business prior to that. You're not one of these career politicians. Let us know a little bit about you and your business career, and also what led you to politics.
Yes, I run an accounting firm where we specialise in taxation and insolvency. I've got a few offices in Sydney, one in Adelaide, a couple overseas in Dubai, Hong Kong, Singapore, and New Zealand. So I've had this business for probably 27 years, and it's allowed me to dabble in politics because I've built the system in the practice where my staff pretty much can work independently. It takes a lot of time to get your business to that level. It allows me to, run for local government and spend endless hours in this side hustle, if we call it that. But it's always been I've loved politics. It's been an interest of mine, and it's something that I'm passionate about. So I just find it, it's not something you do for the money, you do it for the passion.
Yeah, definitely. Now, speaking of tax reform and things like that, Jim Chalmers was at the National Press Club this week, boasting the claim that the Labor government is going to, dip its heels into tax reform, and bold tax reform. That is what he says. When you're thinking about taxation here in Australia, do you have some thoughts? I mean, we're bombarded with, income tax, stamp duty, capital gains tax, even rates from councils. I mean, you seem to be paying through the nose on everything. Do you have any thoughts in that regard?
Yes, I call Australia a socialist country because of this very reason. and that's why we've got the tall poppy syndrome, because if someone does well in this country, we don't bring them up. We want to tax the hell out of them to the point where they're so demoralized. They don't want to move forward. I mean, we've got this ridiculous tax in Australia. It's governed by the states called payroll tax. Now, if you grow your business and you employ more people and your payroll hits over, say, the $1 million threshold, you now have to pay another tax because you've grown your business and you've employed more people. Absolutely ludicrous. And in relation to this new taxation of unrealized capital gains that's being introduced by the Labor Party, that is a game changer. That is going to turn a lot of people off from investing in Australia, because how can you possibly invest in a startup? For example, if you were an initial investor in a startup, you put 50,000 in there, and a lot of these startups increase in value so much, and that investment then goes to $5 million. You've got a tax bill, but you don't have the ability to sell the shares. How are you going to pay that tax bill? Absolutely ludicrous, where we're not going to have a lot of investment in startups and innovation, and that's going to go to other countries. There's no vision from these politicians. They're useless.
If you were in the position of being treasurer and you could influence tax reform in this country, do you have any ideas of what we should do? Would you start with, I mean, there's talk about increasing the GST provided that we lower income tax. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but do you have any proposals or ideas, floating around in your head about tax reform?
Definitely. If we have to increase the GST and get rid of stamp duty and payroll tax, most people, I think the majority would be for that, because you're buying a property, and especially in Sydney, you won't find anything less than $1 million. That's a $50,000 tax bill straight away you need to find. So, and it's a lump sum, so you can't pay it off. You've got to have it up front. By increasing the GST to 15% and allowing the government to scrap those two taxes in particular, would get a massive, I think, a massive boost from the average punter, because most people that invest in property are not your high net worth individuals. They're mums and dads, police officers, teachers. It's the only way for them to get a good tax refund and to minimize their tax. There's no other way. I mean, what are you going to do? I bought a pen, I bought an iPad. How much can you back in your tax refund when you do your return? But investing in property, especially new property, through interest and depreciation, it allows you to minimize your tax and have the incentive to do the overtime.
Yeah. I mean, you said the word right there, incentive. There needs to be incentives for people to work hard and to try and get ahead in life, and all that extends to business as well. I mean, small business and small to mid businesses are really the backbone of this country, and they need support. They need to be propped up and helped, and where they can. It just seems to be in recent years that has gone backwards. I mean, I know John Howard was a big advocate for small business, and that was based largely on his upbringing. But it seems since then it's moved to more corporate side of things, and small businesses getting left behind. From a council level, where you're on Liverpool City Council, is there any way that councils can help support small business? And if there is ways that they can help support small business, are they doing it now?
Look, we had a meeting, our council meeting on Wednesday, where I introduced a motion to support small business in terms of tendering. So if we had a local business in the Liverpool LGA, local government area, tendering on a job, they will get a special loading to allow them to stand out from, say, another business that has the same price and same criteria. This allows them to maybe win the job because of the fact that they are based in the Liverpool LGA, the fact that they're employing locals. I don't know whether other councils are doing that, but that was an initiative that I was passionate about. And lucky for me, being an independent, not a political party, you've got to muster the support from the two major parties in order to get that across the line. And I was lucky enough to get that voted on and passed. So any small business who wants to have a crack at a tender in Liverpool, especially if they're local, they've got an advantage.
But overall, do you think councils do enough to support small business?
Look, it's probably not one of our core businesses, but we do have a division within the council that looks after small business, that helps them navigate through the red tape if they want to, open up a shop or a cafe. How do you navigate through the DA application process? In terms of other incentives, the problem we've got with local government, it's not recognised in the Australian Constitution. So we come under the state government, and we're forever running into shortfalls. We do get grants from the state government, but they're not enough. And that's the biggest problem that local government has. We're limited in our capacity just to do the basics.
Well, that's one of the criticisms of local government. I mean, a lot of people say that it should just be about roads, rates, and rubbish, and you can maybe even throw recreation in there. But we get a lot of local councils focusing on other areas, and we might discuss that today. This is an example. This is Ipswich City Council. Now, they've got this new advisory committee that's going to be focusing on multiculturalism. Now, that might be good. I mean, if they say Australia is a multicultural country and we are accepting people from all around the world, and we need to be able to integrate those people into our society, and maybe council does play a part in that. But from your view, if councils are struggling to look after those essential services that they should be providing, should they be dabbling into, issues such as multiculturalism?
Definitely not. And the word multiculturalism doesn't do anything to integrate people. I come from migrant parents who came from Macedonia. I'm a first generation Australian. I'm against multiculturalism. I mean, when was the last time you heard the word patriot in Australia? Why don't we have a minister for nationalism? Why do we need a minister for multiculturalism? Multiculturalism does not integrate. It actually separates and provides an injustice to the new migrants. They want to integrate into Australian culture. Therefore, you need a minister for nationalism. We need national pride. Look at the Americans. So every second or third house has a flag on top of their house. They're always talking about patriotism. In Australia, we've lost our way. I'll give you an example. At the last council meeting, I wanted to put some Australian flags on our buildings. I was told, no, you can't have the national flag. You must have 3 flags. I'm saying 3 flags. Like, are you kidding me? Like, when we go to war with the one national flag. When we go to the Olympics, it's the one national flag. Having 3 flags does nothing but confuses new migrants. Who is their loyalty to? And add on top of that, the welcome to country that we have. And I've got nothing against the Aboriginal culture or community. They need to be supported. However, we're doing an injustice to these new migrants, because I know when my mum and dad came out, it was the national flag. There was no welcome to country. They knew exactly where they were coming into, and now they are fully integrated into this country. So am I. With these new migrants, we're not going to get that full integration because we are confusing them.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I say the same thing. I mean, we can have a multiracial society with the one culture, but to say that we have multiculturalism, it means that, people are believing different things and running their lives separately to the rest of us. And that, as you said, that does cause division. Back to councils, though. I mean, is it councils? If we want to promote people assimilating into the Australian culture, is that the responsibility of council? Should council be directing funds towards that?
No, definitely not. I'll give you an example of Liverpool. We spend nearly $4 million on a lot of these religious festivals. Now, that is way too much. I know the local council adjoining us, Fairfield, they spend 15% of that budget. And one thing I found quite extraordinary, out of that nearly $4 million budget, 600,000 was spent on Ramadan. Now, 50,000 was spent on Christmas. Now, Liverpool has a majority Christian population. The Islamic faith represents 15% of Liverpool. Why are we spending 10 times the amount on Ramadan and only a token gesture of $50,000 on Christmas? It's way out of control, and council needs to stop pandering to minority groups and understand that Australia is a Christian country. Yes, we can have other religions, But surely spending 600,000 on one faith and only 50,000 on the majority of faith, it's in my opinion wrong.
Well, you're in council, you're dealing with your fellow councillors. Why do they pander like that? Where does this come from? Because I
You need
understand you have a liberal mayor, is that right?
to stand up to this. You need guts and strength of conviction. Unfortunately, a lot of councillors don't have that. You know, putting yourself out there and standing up for these issues, the silent majority wants someone to stand up for these issues. The problem we have is the minority groups, and I don't know why, but as soon as you put something on the agenda that needs to be discussed, they use the word racist. Now, racist has no place in the discussion because religion is not a race. So therefore, straight away, that has no place in the agenda. But more importantly, growing up in the 80s, I mean, we were called wogs, right? We copped it on the chin. Never, ever once did I use the word racist. And that was more like racism than when you're discussing a religion. But we copped it on the chin, and now we've become great Australians. We've integrated fully. The problem we have is, I don't know if someone's out there teaching them. If they don't like, I'm coming out here and saying there was an issue with prayer halls at Liverpool Council. Why are we building a prayer hall? And straight away the minorities come out, oh, you're being racist. Like, at the end of the day, ratepayers don't want their money being used for prayer halls. Ratepayers want their money being used for roads, rubbish, parks. We need to stay out of the space, and we need to stay in our own lane.
Yeah, definitely. And another, you brought it up about the three flags. I mean, this is another example. This is an article about South Australian councils. Now, collectively, South Australian councils spend more than $4 million a year on First Nations ceremonies and protocols. That includes, welcome to country or what have you. I mean, there's a lot of money to be spending on these things where some of these councils might not even have large Aboriginal populations within them. So why do they need to outlay this money that should be going back to roads, rates, and rubbish?
Yeah, look, I think they need to, stop spending that money on a lot of these things, because if you think about it, a lot of these councils are running a very tight budget. It's very difficult to deliver a surplus budget, and every dollar counts. Now, I still don't understand how this welcome to country is so embedded himself into everything we do, from the state of origin to every speech. In the 80s and 90s and the 70s, it wasn't there. So why has this come up now all of a sudden?
It's frustrating because you look at the Harbour Bridge and they're flying two flags on the Harbour Bridge, and that was the Liberal government that brought that in. And I actually asked Jacinta Price the question, does she feel that it's necessary to fly the two flags on the bridge? I mean, I said to her, isn't it confusing to not just migrants coming here, but also tourists coming to this country and then seeing two flags flying on our national symbol, which is, the Harbour Bridge in a lot of ways. And she said, yes, she does find it. She said it's virtue signaling. That's all it is. And it's divisive as well, because we should just be under the one flag in this country. We shouldn't be separated by different flags and putting us into different groups and all these sorts of things. I mean, why? I mean, I don't understand why we do it. And maybe it is just virtue signaling. Do you think that's a big part of it?
Well, I didn't realize that, but on any government building, it's a obligation. You must fly three flags. Even if you wanted to fly the one national flag, it's illegal. So
Wow.
this needs to be changed at either the state or the federal level, because unfortunately I can't change it at the local level. I'm advocating to fly the one flag, but because of this rule, now we've got to spend money on three flagpoles. And as you know, anything to do with council is not cheap. One flagpole, it costs 10 times as much as, say, than you and I wanted to put one up. Then you times it by three for having three flags. It's out of control. Honestly, we lack identity in this country now.
Do you know how much your council spends on Welcome to Country?
I don't know exactly, but I think we'd probably be about $20,000, I'd say.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And there's quite a lot of councils in New South Wales. There'd be probably over 50. So there'd be councils that spend more than that, some that spend less. So we're probably up there as well, collectively.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of money outlaying just for some, feel good feelings. I mean, I don't see how Welcome to Country helps the Aboriginal people. Like, if you wanted to put money towards helping Aboriginal people and advancing their, their status in life, maybe some of these people are disadvantaged and they need help. That's fair enough. But to do a Welcome to Country, I don't see how that benefits any Aboriginal people that are struggling out there.
Look, there already is a lot of stuff out there to support them. Like in Liverpool Council, they've created 2 jobs just for Aboriginal people to be employed. So that means that you and I can't be apply for that position. Look, I mean, everyone is disadvantaged in some way, and I'm so against quotas. If you're good enough, you're good enough, and this quota system sends the wrong message. It's like our kids playing soccer and everyone gets a ribbon. Unfortunately, the world doesn't work that way, and we need to develop a bit more resilience within today's society, because a lot of our kids, for a lot of this pandering that we do, don't have the strength to go through some tough times. They buckle at the first sign of stress.
Because they keep getting a handout. They're not, you have to struggle in life. I mean, they say suffering builds character, and I know that sounds terrible, but it's part of life. It's, getting out there, working hard, building a living for yourself. It's a daily grind. And if you're just getting handouts from government all the time, or handouts from council, where are you going to build that resiliency? Where are you going to build that grit that you need to get ahead in life? I mean, I feel like more than, it's a bit of tough love, isn't it? To pull back a little bit and say to people, hey, you need to make it on your own. It's important to make it on your own.
Definitely. I mean, if we go back to the Aboriginal community, in my accounting firm, there's a lot of clients that I've got that have got Aboriginal companies. Now, I didn't know what that was until recently, where you have a director and major shareholders, Aboriginals. They get the loading on tenders as well. So there is a lot of support out there. Honestly, a lot of people might not know that, but there is a lot of support for the Aboriginal community. They've got things like AB study, as you know, and every question that you fill out, are you an Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander? It's not as if that we've forgotten, what's happened to them in the past, but ultimately, we need a level playing field.
Yeah, definitely. Now, another big issue that's actually in the news at the moment, is particularly here on the Northern Beaches, is there was a recent Northern Beaches Council meeting in which the Greens councillor Ethan Hernjack got up and moved the motion to talk about the Israel-Gaza conflict. Now, that's the other side of the world. When you think about councils wanting to focus on rates, rubbish, and rates, roads, and rubbish, talking about foreign conflicts is something that's completely separate to that. But let's have a look. This is the clip of him moving that motion in Northern Beaches Council.
Okay, Councillor Hernjack.
Thanks, Mayor. In December 2024, Amnesty International concluded that Israel is committing genocide. Under the UN Charter and in alignment with decisions made by the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court, Australia has an obligation to prevent genocide such as that which is currently occurring in Gaza. Whilst foreign policy is the responsibility of the federal government, many Northern Beaches residents are horrified by the ongoing military attacks by the Israeli Defence Force on the people and infrastructure of Gaza. They would like us to do whatever is in our power to stop the bloodshed. Since the October 7 Hamas attacks on Israel, where over 1,200 innocent Israeli citizens lost their lives and over 250 were taken hostage, 50,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza.
So, despite what people might, their views on this conflict, I mean, you might go one way, you might go the other way, whatever it might be. I mean, I guess the main point is, should councils be focusing on an issue like this? It just seems, why can't you just leave this to the federal government? As he said, he even mentioned that in part of his speech, that, it is a federal issue. Why are councils devoting time to this?
Look, it's wrong, and I'll be honest with you. How does he have the time? Like, I'm the hardest working council at Liverpool, and I know that might sound arrogant, but the numbers say that. I've had 700 councillor requests in 6 months. Out of the other 10 councillors, they've had 70 combined. So I've done the work of my entire council times 10. And none of those issues involve Gaza or Palestine or Israel. How the hell would I have the time to focus on this issue, run my business? He's obviously not doing his job for his constituents.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
and we had
exactly right.
we had an issue with the same situation as you've mentioned in the previous council term, and it was reported in the Australian newspaper where the mayor of Liverpool donated the name of the council, donated the new council, the new Library of Liverpool to the issue involving Gaza. Now, I want to reverse that because the library should be dedicated to the hard-working families of Western Sydney. We have nothing to do with the situation overseas. And another example was the Prime Minister came to open that library. Now, it's very hard to get a Prime Minister in your local government area. Instead of using that opportunity with the Prime Minister and saying, listen, Prime Minister, we need $1 billion investment for Liverpool Hospital, or we need some more police, or we need some more funding in that area, he was talking about Gaza and Israel and Palestine. Has nothing to do with the local community. We've got federal members of parliament that actually, that's their role. And furthermore, there was a recent donation from our council to Lebanon of $20,000. The community was up in arms. They don't want that continuing. I moved the motion to ban sending any more money overseas, but unfortunately, all the other councillors want to continue sending ratepayers' money overseas towards these hotspots. I don't have a problem with sending money overseas, but open your own wallets. If you want to do it as a councillor, give up your monthly stipend and donate it to overseas. Why should the ratepayers have to do it when we haven't even asked them whether they want those monies donated overseas? Strong leadership means leading by example. And I actually raised that at my council meeting. All of us put in $2,000 each and donate the money. I was the only one that put my hand, the only one that actually put my hand up for that.
Mate, I don't think you could have said it better. Like the ratepayers were never asked about it, and they should have been asked about it. You know, do they support sending money overseas to foreign conflicts or to even just foreign aid? I mean, if the people in Liverpool Council said yes, we want to send our money, our ratepayers' money to these other countries, then fair enough. But the people never get asked, and I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head by saying to the councillors, hey, if you want to do this, then dig into your own pockets first. I mean, do you think this is a big issue across all governments, whether it be local government or state government or federal government, where they get taxpayers' money and then they think that they can just throw it around without any accountability at all? Then there needs to be some accountability with the spending of people's money, right?
Well, foreign aid is a federal issue, and you look at the amount of money Australia has donated to the war in Ukraine. We have no place getting involved in that. In all honesty, that's taxpayers' money, and a lot of people are struggling out Western Sydney and probably all around the country. To be spending $1 billion by donating it to Ukraine in the conflict, and I'm sure there's other donations that would add up to the billions as well. That money should be invested in Australia. Yes, we've got an obligation for humanitarian, that's not a problem, but we don't have an obligation to provide military equipment and assistance to a war that has nothing to do with Australia.
No, you're right. Now, spending money is one thing, but bringing up these issues also stokes division because you're starting to get into foreign conflicts where people maybe on one side, people may be on the other side. I mean, you would think that councils would stay out of that just to not bring up that sort of conflict. Now, this is another example. This is from the same council meeting where Doug Rennie, who I've had on the show before, he's part of the Libertarian Party. He got up to speak and he spoke passionately against Ethan Hernjack, and it's just a clear example of what motions like this can bring this type of conflict and division that these motions can bring. So let's hear from Doug Rennie.
Financial management. Council should be about roads, rubbish and reducing rates, not trying to fix the weather. And how can we, the ratepayer, take your claims of needing more money seriously when you do not seem to understand the assignment? Just this week, Greens councillor Ethan Henjak has moved a motion about Israel and Hamas. How is this a local issue? How is it a local issue that affects the people of the Northern Beaches? It doesn't. Councillor Henjak's motion shows a complete disregard for his role as councillor to manage the roads, the bins and the public service of ratepayers.
So as you can see, Doug's fired up at this motion. I mean, this is a clear example of the division that can come from things like this. I mean, is it necessary?
No, it's definitely not necessary. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know how he has the time to even spend any time on these foreign affairs, because like I mentioned, I can't even keep up with the amount of constituent requests involving roads, rubbish, parks and whatnot. I've never had one request out of my 700 involving, can you talk about Palestine, Israel? It's really not our space to be involved in that. I mean, that Green councillor should be running for federal parliament, put his hand up for the federal seat up there. But he's a councillor. I just don't understand it. To me, it makes no sense. And ultimately, I think if it's brought up in my council, Liverpool, it will probably have more of a reaction than the Northern Beaches, because I don't know how many people from the Islamic faith are in the Northern Beaches, but there's quite a lot. There's 15% in Liverpool, but we don't want to create those divisions. In all honesty, we need to be focusing our attention on what, as a local government, we need to do. And I know the Mayor of Liverpool tries to dabble in that space quite regularly, and I pull him into line because I think he needs to stay in his own lane, because he's not doing a good job, by the way, and he's not focusing on the job that he needs to do.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Ethan Hernjack. He ran in 2022 in the federal election for McKellar. Then in 2023, he ran in the state election for Wakehurst. He was elected as a councillor in 2024, but that was largely because the Liberals couldn't fill in their paperwork and didn't run. And then in 2025, at the recent federal election, despite already being a councillor, he ran in the federal election again. So he's run at all three tiers of government despite only being 21. He's fit a lot in the last 3 years. Do you think that's a problem? Do you think you get these councillors or these people that get into council and they use it more of a profile building experience, profile building a thing where they use council to build their profile to then move to higher levels of government, and they're not really focusing on the local issues. They just want to, I guess, feather their own nest and their own political ambitions?
I'd like to know what that councillor does for a day job. Does he actually work, or is he a professional campaigner?
I don't know. Yeah,
because I can tell you what, with my campaign, I campaigned literally 9 months. It was tough. It was a hard slog, and I was out of the game for over 8 years. And I beat an existing councillor who ran. Out of 10 candidates, I came third, 15% of the votes. And as we know, I could put my phone as a candidate, as a councillor, under the Labor or Liberal, and it would get 30%. In all honesty, they get a minimum of 30% of the vote. Now, if you had my votes on top of the default rate that a two major party gets, I'd probably be mayor. But at the end of the day, a lot of these guys that are campaigning for federal, state, and unless you're doing it to win, don't bother doing it.
Tell us a little bit more about Liverpool Council. I know it's been in the headlines in the past. A lot of councils in Western Sydney do get attention because some of them end up in administration, and I think that happened to Liverpool as well. Why do these councils get into those sorts of states? Is there a lot of corruption, or is there a lot of nefarious characters out there? I mean, what's the situation with Western Sydney councils?
Well, it's funny enough you say that. Liverpool's right in the middle of a public inquiry into corruption, it's already started. The public hearings are happening next month, and they are available to the public to attend and to watch them being live streamed. One of the persons of interest is the mayor. They are looking at nepotism and employing, jobs for the boys. There was an article in the, I think, Australian newspaper that spoke about all the Liberal people that have been employed by Liverpool Council. Did they go through the proper checks? Were they the right person for that? And we talk about salaries of $300,000 to $350,000. So it's more than what a member of parliament will get. So the Minister for Local Government is investigating this. And by the sounds of it, it looks like we're heading into administration, because these things don't happen unless there is something to be seen. And from what I've been reading and whatnot, it looks like we probably will be heading in that direction.
Is there any reform that you would propose for local governments? Do they need more accountability? I mean, do you have any ideas around that?
Yes, ban the political parties. If you want to run as a councillor, run as your own name. Get rid of Labor and Liberal. That's where the problem is. The biggest problem in local government is the two major parties. Have a look at all the problems. Have a look which ones go into administration. It's the result of councillors from the two major parties. Ban that, and we'll get much more better leadership. We'll get more transparency. We'll get better governance. And unfortunately, the state government, because local government comes under the state government banner, doesn't have the guts to do this. Now, I have a local government conference next week, Australian Local Government Conference next week, happens every year in Canberra, where all the councils come together for a conference. I'm considering moving a motion, and hopefully I'll get the support, that banning major parties from running for council. I think it happens in some states, but in New South Wales, it should definitely be banned.
So I think a lot of people watching, their eyes would have lit up when you said that. I think that you get a lot of support from people out there. I mean, it makes sense. How do people support if they want to see that motion get up? And I know you're still thinking about whether you move it or not, but if you were to move it, would it take other councillors to get on board and to vote with you? I mean, should ordinary people out there email their local councillors? I mean, what is there any sort of action at the moment that people should take?
Well, definitely, but I don't know if a councillor from, say, a Labor or the Liberal Party would support that motion.
No, definitely
even if they
not.
I know in the Northern Beaches, you guys don't have political parties, is that right? Or you don't have
No,
Labor,
we
Liberal, or
we definitely do. The problem was that the Liberal Party didn't fill in their paperwork at the last election, and they were unable to run. Yeah, so we got a whole bunch of Teals, Greens, and Labor on the council.
Oh, yes. Okay, I see. Yeah, so definitely, it's going to be a tough one to do, because the councillors that are from the two major parties won't support that. I mean, surely a lot of them wouldn't even get elected. They get elected on the back of the branding.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you sort out the men from the boys, is run as your own person. Let's see if you get up. But they're too afraid to do that.
Yeah, you're probably right. Now, another big thing, I mean, this is, I don't ever see this happening, but it might be interesting to talk about. I mean, I look at state governments and local governments, and I think they both should be abolished and replaced with regional governments. And then you would get a better local representation for some of the areas, particularly out in rural areas. As a councillor, how do you react to that, hearing that proposal? As I said, it won't ever happen, because you'd have to get the states to almost agree to abolish themselves, and I doubt that will happen. But do you see how there could be a benefit of abolishing those two levels of government and replacing them with a regional government?
Look, I like the idea. Definitely state government needs to go. They really play no role. And if you look at places like America, their mayors and local councillors are responsible for the police and things like that. And as the local councillor, you're closest to the people. So when you say regional, I like that. I mean, Liverpool's big enough to be considered a region, but you got places like Hunters Hill Council, which has got 30,000 people. They would
Yeah.
need to go, and you'd have a bigger region. It needs to be a minimum population of 300,000 to really be on that scale. So a lot of these, and I think that was the idea of the amalgamation of these councils, but they obviously didn't go all the way. And in my opinion, a councillor is a full-time role. It's really a great job if you're retired. You got all the time in the world to do this, cut ribbons and eat the free food afterwards. But you don't have the vitality to do the work. You want people that are, have got the energy to do it, and it's very difficult. I think we get 32K. I mean, I pour all my money back into my campaign as an independent, so I'm literally working for free, which I don't mind, but it's a full-time role. I mean, the books that we got to read, the budgets we got to read involving $300 million, $400 million. How are you supposed to do that part-time? It's very difficult. And if you have a look at our CEO, he's on a wicket of about $500,000. Now, that's more than the Prime Minister. That alone tells me that being a councillor on 30 grand, being a CEO is on 500, it's a full-time role. And we need to take it seriously. Yes, I agree. Abolish the state governments. Yes, create regional councils, if you want to call it that, and make it a full-time role.
Got a question here from David. Now, you've just advocated to abolish political parties in council, but David's asking the question, would Peter consider joining a minor party like People First Party?
Look, I have no objection with the minor parties. They definitely have a role to play. I haven't really looked into that party at all. I got elected under our local community, which is I guess a political party, but only at the local government level. It just makes it easier when you're running your campaign. You can put a block together. From an admin point of view, that's what makes it easy. But our local community is not really, people didn't vote for me because of the name, they voted because of me. I went under the banner of our local community for the admin reasons. But yeah, definitely the political parties, the minor political parties have a role to play, and a very important role, especially with preferencing. And in my opinion, preferencing should be compulsory. I know we've abolished it at the state level. And the federal level, it's compulsory. It should be compulsory because these minor parties have a very important role to play.
You've made a lot of sense today. So if people want to check you out, they can head to your Facebook page. It's Make Liverpool Great. And then if you want to just type in Councillor Peter Ristevski, you'll surely come across it. What are your plans going forward? I mean, you've still got a few years in council and you might get re-elected again. I mean, do you have some big plans going forward in Liverpool?
Look, it's a mess in Liverpool, I'll be honest with you. And I've always said we've got to get the basics right before we can do anything else. It's like an NRL team. We've got to learn to pass the ball before we can play like Melbourne Storm. And at the moment, we don't even know how to pass the ball. We can't even get the basics right. So I need to pull everything back, make sure the budget's in line, make sure we're doing the basics. Once we get that right, then we can talk about bigger and better things. But unfortunately, Liverpool has lost its way in the last 4 years or maybe 8 years. And that's the reason I came back, because I saw no other way than to throw my hat in the ring. Because if I didn't throw my hat in the ring, the Liberals would have won my spot and it would have been more of the same. At least at the moment, we're making some big differences and big changes.
Yeah, awesome. Now, look, it's up to the final segment of the show. It's the most important section. It's called Build Your Own Fantasy Government. Now, Peter, you're in charge in the next Parliament of Australia, the federal parliament, and you can choose 5 or 6 people to head up that next Parliament of Australia. They can be living or dead. They don't necessarily have to be politicians, but just people that you think that can lead this country in the right direction. Who do you choose?
Good question. I haven't had a chance to think about that one. Look, definitely, I like Tony Abbott. He's a strong character. I'd definitely have Kerry Packer in there, by all means. I'd like to have Mark Burris in there. He's a very good businessman. 2 more. I like Peter Credlin from Sky the Sky News channel. And my last one, it's a difficult one, Craig Bellamy. That guy has shown consistency with the Melbourne Storm, 20 years, every single year they've made the semi-finals. It's unprecedented. That guy can build systems, and we need some systems in politics for success. So they're the people I'd actually have on my team.
It's an interesting answer. I don't think we've had anyone going to the sporting arena to pick someone as of yet, but I think to pick a coach like Bellamy is important because his main thing is about not just coaching players to play well on the field. He coaches players to be better men and to grow as a man. I mean, I think that would be incredibly important to politics. I mean, it's a good answer. Is that what influenced your decision there?
Definitely. He's shown consistency in. I don't think there's any sport in the world where you've had a coach of the one team for 20 years and every year they've made the semi-finals. I can't pick one. I think he holds the record.
Yeah, no, it's a good pick. It's an interesting one to definitely think about. So, look, mate, thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure. So, is for people to follow you, is Facebook the best way, or do you have any other methods that people should get behind you?
Oh, look, Facebook's always the best way, and then they can communicate to me via Facebook Messenger. My mobile's on there. I don't shy away from putting my mobile number anywhere. But Facebook is the best because I post a lot of information on there, and that's the best way to follow me.
Okay, great, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on today. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. It's good to know that there's councillors out there that have the right mindset when it comes to representing their community and not just throwing money around willy-nilly. We want councils to work for the ratepayers and the people that are in their local area. And look, if the local people want to support Welcome to Country and the local people want to support sending money overseas for foreign aid and things like that, then they should get a say, and they should be asked that question. They never get asked that question. Councils seem to just operate on their own will and their own desires, and I think there needs to be some accountability for that. So hopefully we can get more councillors like yourself in council to start pushing back against that mindset. So thanks for coming on today. For everyone watching, please share this out, and also head to commandthenarrative.com. Sign up to the newsletter so you can keep up to date with all future podcasts and everything that we're doing here, or the articles and everything like that. But for now, we'll see you all next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.